Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me once again is my go-to podcast compadre, a.k.a. Joe Lever, a.k.a. Special Poker Champion, Mr. Joe Lever. I kind of said your name twice there. Joe, put the glasses on, quick! They'll never see it coming. All right, so we've got Joe Lever here. He's a high-stakes
poker champion.
He's a poker champion. He's a big game right now. He's got a pair of pocket aces. He's waiting for the river. It's a substantial pot, $505,000. We're gonna see what Joe does here. Joe, so what's your strategy here? You just waiting for some good cards, or what's the deal?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Great. Excellent. This is good. This whole show is going to be like this. I'll say these things. I'll ask him his opinion, and he will just very curtly and quietly respond. How do you feel about that, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
This joke is not going to play for the audio listeners, and I'm so sorry. Joe's wearing sunglasses and he's pretending to be a poker champion. Or he's in a poker championship. I don't know.
Little tip. Anybody who's doing a poker tournament, don't wear glasses that reflect anything.
Yeah, good call. Mm-hmm.
Kim Kardashian looking at you.
Was she?
Did you ever see that? I saw she was doing some charity poker tournament. She had these giant, like, I don't even know what you call it, very ridiculous sunglasses, but they were like the size of half of her face, and like the reflection of her entire hand was right there in her glasses.
Perfect.
There were photos of it.
Just like sitting there at the table with her, and you're like, "Hey, Kim." She looks up at you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll raise."
Yeah.
It's like, I got this.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. But besides talking about poker, which we love to do every single week here on the show, we're actually going to talk about something very specific, and it's something that we haven't even discussed yet together. So I'm really excited about it. But Joe and I watched Wonder Woman 1984 via the old HBO Max. And we're going to talk about it today, but we're going to do spoiler-free discussion first, or review, and then we'll hop into the spoiler discussion down the line. Don't worry, I'll flip the old spoiler switch over here, and hopefully I'll remember to add in the effect. And it'll be great, because we're both on screen now, so Joe will probably get some of the sparks in his eyes, too. Anyway, Joe, Wonder Woman 1984, what was the story, briefly, if you had to kind of sell someone to get them in? Like, what would you tell people?
Gal Gadot's in there.
That's all we needed to know. Gal Gadot's
That's all we needed to know. I hate when you put the story synopsis on me.
It's
without spoiling it.
Yeah, just like,
all right. Wonder Woman, it's been 40, probably almost exactly 40 years since she lost Steve.
65-ish.
Wait, was that World War One?
Yeah, it was World War One. Yeah.
My bad.
That's okay.
For some reason in my mind, it has been since 2017, like you reminded me, and that surprised me. But I always think World War II for some reason.
Yeah, it's usually a more popular war to make a movie of.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so 1984, no Steve, right? Working solo at the museum.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a spoiler, is it?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't rehearse this. This is off the cuff.
You could just say Wonder Woman's in the 1980s and she's got to fight new threats. That's all I'd tell people. She's like, there you go. If you don't like that, then you won't like this. Pretty much flat out, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So far, because like I said, it's going to be kind of like, without getting too far into it, like, I hate to compare it to everything else because I feel like that's what we do with everything, right? But for this, like, how did you feel afterwards? Like, good, bad? Did you enjoy it? Did you not?
First of all, no one cares about the 80s. No one.
I wish that were true, but it is not true. People love the 80s. They love it so much. So much.
Whatever. I'll get into my pros and cons list later. I just, what was your question? Sorry, I got distracted.
He's like, I hate the 80s and it's broken my brain. I said, how did you feel after watching this? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Just generally.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'll call it like a 60-40 split. Oh. 60 like, 40 dislike.
Okay.
60-40 split.
Sure.
Which is probably on par for most every movie ever released ever. So
Sure.
don't think that that's the worst thing ever to say. I'd call it average is what I would call it, right?
Okay.
There's always going to be some pros and cons, kind of a split to every movie. Rarely are they ever perfect. We're not looking at Lord of the Rings here.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
And we're surely not looking at the first Wonder Woman. Anywho, yeah, but I walked away from it kind of on a 60-40 split. I'll admit, unfortunately, my expectations were a little inflated going into this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that hurt me a little bit. And stupid me, I thought there was no chance I was going to be let down at all, right? And I'm not saying I was let down, but of course, I set the bar, right?
Yeah.
And here was the guy trying to pole vault over that damn bar. He's like, I'm the world record holder. I can do it. I swear. Never made it. Never.
He was close, though. It sounds like kind of close. Maybe.
Ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of aspects of it that I still enjoy and really like, and there are certain DC elements or maybe Patty Jenkins elements that I enjoy. But it's just not in this one. I didn't feel like there was enough consistency in that to carry it through.
Sure.
More detail to come, I guess.
Yeah. I would say it's weird because I really enjoyed the first film too. And I think that you have to see the first one to enjoy this one. This is not a sequel that you could just hop into because so much I think is predicated on the relationship between Diana and Steve Trevor. And if you don't have that, you're like, man, she's really hung up on this dude. I wonder what happened. So you really do have to see the first one. But I like a lot of things in it. But I'm with you too. I guess I'd be a little more split. And it's a longer film as well. So it's not one of those things where you're like, yeah, it didn't overstay its welcome. There's a lot going on in here. And maybe there didn't need to be. And the other thing that's kind of weird too, talking about the 60-40 split, Joe, I feel like they spent 60% of this film on the villains and 40% on Wonder Woman. It almost felt like there was more time devoted to the villain stuff, which is fine. But it was something that I was like, I just want that Gal Gadot. I still think she's great. I think there's something about her that is just intrinsically fun to watch. She really does a great job as the character of both Diana and Wonder Woman, and I buy it, and it's great to see Chris Pine back. I really like Chris Pine. It didn't feel as genuine, his interactions with her, I think, as in the first one, but it was still cool to see him, there. And yeah, I don't know. I think if you have HBO Max, I think you get to watch this for a full month before they take it off of there. So if you have it, I'd say you should probably check it out if you're a superhero fan. But if you're kind of on the fence about this sort of thing, I would not say this is the first one to start with, even if it's just superhero films in general. I would say watch the first Wonder Woman, and if you love that, then you should check this out. That's kind of my it's my feeling,
True. Yeah, I mean, if you love the first one, you kind of, by unwritten rule, you got to watch the second one.
Got to watch the second one. Got to know what happened 65 years later.
Exactly. Yeah, what's going on at that time with her? Yeah. That makes sense. I would never start in cold like you said on this one because there's so much. There are some details. It's wait, she can do what? Wait, what is that? Wait, okay. I mean, there are certain nuances that you wouldn't be totally privy to unless you watch that. And definitely the relationship between her and Steve Trevor. If you don't see the first one, you're like, okay. It just doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I encourage people to still check it out. I didn't realize there was a month-long time limit, but
I think there is. I might be wrong about that, but that's what I was seeing. I did forget to mention this too. I think both Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig are pretty good in this too. It's weird to see Pedro without the Mando helmet on. But he's out there. He's walking around. He's doing his thing.
That was a total spoiler. No one knew he was in it.
They didn't know? Nobody knew?
I never saw him in a trailer or anything.
Oh, really? He was in the trailers. Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah. Just I didn't see it. The marketing team failed you. Anyway, so okay, those are kind of our brief thoughts. We both sound like we're kind of like, you should check it out if you're really into this sort of thing. We would encourage you to. Maybe don't go out of your way if you're not like the biggest superhero fan or Wonder Woman fan, though. So like, which I would say that for almost pretty much any superhero film. It's weird. This movie kind of like falls in the middle somewhere, but we're going to talk about it unabashedly because I want to flip the old spoiler switch here, unless you want to say anything else, Joe.
No, I think we're good. I'd say flip that sucker. I just want to keep you in a nice long pause with your excited look and your hand on the handle.
I'm doing it, son! Oh, gosh. Spoilers, Joe, it's magic rock. It's a magic evil rock. It's evil, it's a magic rock. Okay. Here is the thing that I kind of wish we could have gotten in this, Joe. Because apparently the Ares finale in the first film was it was kind of a last minute type of thing. They didn't want to do that, and apparently Patty Jenkins wanted like something smaller scale, more intimate ending. I kind of feel like they almost needed to bring a god in at the end of this one, and I thought they were going to do it. Like, not Loki or something, but they're like, oh, they're all these gods who've done all these things and created these items and stuff. I was like, oh, maybe that person will show up or embody Pedro Pascal or something. But then it like never happened. And she was like so afraid of having like this like artifact from the gods amongst the people. And they didn't really do much. Like they didn't, I don't know, it didn't really follow through with that sort of thing. And I was like, this would have been the moment to do more of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to just having someone who turns into a person who can like wish upon wish upon wish upon wish. And then someone else who's like a cheetah lady person. So I don't know. Like it's kind of weird how it all came together in the end too. I thought, you know, with all the villains kind of teaming up, not like really naturally, it just kind of happened. It was like, we're going to be together. We're buds now. Like, I don't know how I felt. It was weird, right? Am I the only one who feels that way?
Yeah, it was super weird. There was essentially, the only action was between her and the Egyptian people in that convoy. Or no, it was a security team that he took from that Egyptian's stronghold, right? So Pedro Pascal.
There's the White House scene and then the fight at the end for the most part.
The White House scene was a little meh.
Oh, you didn't like that? I liked it. I thought
it was fine. I've been in the White House. It doesn't really look like that.
In the 80s it did. It was
Oh, in the 80s.
Was that supposed to be Ronald Reagan? I couldn't understand. I couldn't decide or not if that was at the same time.
I don't know if that's what they were going for.
I couldn't tell. Yeah. But anyway, I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves. So basically, Pedro Pascal's character, Maxwell Lord, in this one wants to be like the oil baron of the world, and he's been studying and like trying to find this gem for a long time that grants somebody a wish if you hold it, but it also takes the thing that's most valuable to you. So what the first wish he does is he basically wishes to become the stone itself, which I would think would turn you into the stone. But no, he's just like, he's just a human who can like, if you wish on him, he'll be like, all right, I grant your wish, but I'm also taking this from you and you can't stop me. I was like, that power right there, it felt like he had the Infinity Gauntlet, like really early on. Like, it wasn't like Thanos built up to it. He was just like, I got it. And it's like, what?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's an ultimate trump card. He can do anything and everything with that. Granted, he can't grant his own wish all the time, but he can say, hey, I need you to say this.
Yeah.
But what does he take from everybody? Like, okay, I remember when he's desperate for a wish. Don't you wish there was what was it? Don't you wish I had the floor with the president this afternoon?
Yeah.
And he's out there and he goes and talks to one of his employees that, he wished for or hired on a whim. And he says, and he's asked him that, and he's like, yeah, yesterday you gave me a Porsche. I'm wondering, like, those people like that work for him that he just did petty wishes for.
Yeah.
What did he take from them?
Okay, so apparently there's a really small detail in there early on because there's that one guy who touches it and he's like in the lab because that's when Kristen Wiig has it and he's like,
oh yeah, I really wish I had a cup of coffee.
And he gets it, but then he says, ow, that was kind of too hot. So like it was kind of like, I think it's proportional. So like if you wish for something small, like that one guy was like, don't you wish that like there was no traffic in the way? And the guy's like, yeah, I always wish that. Like, you're right. What is he losing though? So it's probably something proportional.
Exactly.
So like, I don't know. Maybe he has to wait in lines everywhere else.
But Pedro's character controls what he takes. It's not the stone anymore that does like a formula of I'm going to take something of equal value.
Yeah.
It's him choosing whatever the heck he wants. So I don't know. Maybe he's in his mind is just like, I'll take I don't know. I'm going to take a little bit of his fresh air. One breath short.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was supposed to be like some sort of allegory for like the over excess of the 1980s, and that was like the whole point of it. It's just like when you introduce something like that early in the film, I feel like you just open yourself up for a lot of potential plot hole issues, maybe. Just because, like, you can wish your way out of anything or do whatever you want,
True. Yeah, ultimately, propelling us towards the ending where they do this stupid, basically it's a speech to talk the world off of a cliff and like,
which is nuts.
I mean, and let's face it, it's the most unrealistic thing that's ever been done in film history. It would never happen.
I think more unrealistic than that was the fact that like a bunch of people renounced their wishes. It's like, people
exactly.
They'd be like, nah, I'm good. No. I'm good with this. I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah, those few people that would, I wish you dropped dead. Of course, that guy walking away, it was a moment of anger. He's like, shit, she's actually dying. I renounce my wish for, it was a joke.
Yeah.
In those circumstances, yeah, but most circumstances, it's like, no, I just got $1 million. Hell yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So it would never happen. The greed of the world and people, there are some good people, don't get me wrong, but they ain't all great.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, and that's where the ending was I was like, okay, this is getting a little nuts. And I thought, with the lasso of truth that she has wrapped around him at the end. I'm sorry, we're jumping all over the place, but if you watch it, you know what we're talking about. I thought there was going to be like a moment where she like convinced him to tell the truth or something, or see a truth or a different world. And that's what was happening. Like none of it was actually happening, but like in his mind, he was going to see like a future of what his crazy wishes would do. And then he'd be like, actually, you know what? I don't want my son to grow up in that world because it's insane. So I thought that's what they were going to do, as opposed to being like, renounce all the wishes and don't worry about the nukes like that we fired off. Because it gets to that point where they start firing nuclear warheads all over the world simultaneously. I was like,
because the president's wishing for more. I want more of everything. I want more nukes on everybody, so they have to listen to us. And
yeah, I was like
for a president to care the most about something as stupid as that, and that's maybe he doesn't take it serious in that moment, but of all the things to wish for in that position, that's what you're going to wish for?
Yeah. It's not like he wouldn't have said, well, I wish for a lot of that, but I also wish like for world peace. I wish we could all get along. Like, would that have just killed the movie? But like, everybody's friends. Like,
yeah, wish for something great, that just smooths out everything, if there were such thing as a perfect world, right? I mean,
are there people that wish for like they wish for their family members who are like in the hospital to be better again, and for like a few minutes they were, and they're like, oh my God, you're okay. And it's like people start renouncing wishes and they're like, oh, should I renounce my wish? And then they do it, and then it's like, that person's sick again, or like, I don't like, they didn't show any of that. Yeah, like there's like a lot of like bad like moments. I think they kind of skirted past for like the funny moments of like, hey, this old man always wanted a farm, so here are a bunch of cows. And it's like, what? Wait, when did he wish? He wished for a farm? Did he touch Maxwell Lord? He's like, I wish for a farm. Like, I was like, what? The wishing thing. But besides the wishing stuff, that aside, I like a lot of the stuff in this movie. I really want to talk about the beginning, though, too, with, like, the weird kind of, like, Themyscira games that they started with. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was cool. I was like, look at little Diana go.
I liked it, too. Initially, I couldn't tell. I thought that Wonder Woman or Diana was standing next to the little girl.
She's like, you're gonna get crushed, kid. Like...
Yeah, I saw the kid the lady looked at her. I might have missed it because my family was probably talking over it, but I could have swore I saw her standing there and looking down at the kid, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
I think it
was cool.
Is it Robin Wright? I forget who plays like her aunt, the one who's like the warrior kind of more on the ground, and her sister is the queen, Diana's mom. But I was so happy to see her back, like both of them back. I was like, these ladies are great. I was like, I love these guys. Like, and I thought that whole thing, it was weird, but cool. Even though I didn't understand it. I was like, some people can climb a ladder and some people can spin a thing. And it's like, I don't know.
I really never had a problem with those moments on the island. I can't remember. Did they? Well, obviously they did that in the first Wonder Woman, but
yeah,
the movie kind of starts out there and whatnot. But the Justice League, they did something similar-ish.
did they? Oh yeah, well, because they had to get away the mother boxes from. Yeah,
exactly.
This felt more like Aquaman though, like the opening. Like it was more like here's a little slice of the world. It's kind of hyper saturated and crazy, and yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know, but then it was kind of. I think the lesson got lost later on in the movie because like the whole point was like Diana, you can't take shortcuts, you can't cheat, and I guess that's kind of like what happened with Steve. Like she couldn't just like get him back in her life without paying a price.
Very
maybe.
Good.
But like
very good, yeah.
It seemed like she was trying to impart that onto the bad guy, but he kind of got it. I don't know. It seemed kind of weird. But either way, I still love that intro. I thought that was really cool. I was like, this is wonderful. I was like, this is cool.
I like that you picked out that through line. I hadn't given it enough thought to realize that, but you're right on.
I've been trying to read screenplays and stuff. It's hard. But anyway, I like that. I thought it was cool. And I also liked like Diana, in the 80s, just, doing like just superhero things. In the beginning, she's like saving people. She's in the mall. I like that whole sequence. I just think she's so much fun when I see her. And the music, by the way, it's like the revamped version of the theme, and Hans Zimmer did it again. And I'm in love with that song now. I used to joke about it way back in the day, but now I'm like, I'm all in. Every time I hear that, or like they do like a little rumbly version of it, and atmosphere, it's like bum 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 dun, dun, dun. I'm like, oh, I was like, ooh, I'm like, here we go, Wonder Woman. I'm like, let's do it.
You did it so perfectly.
Yeah, it gets you amped. But I like that whole mall sequence. I will say this though. I'm from Minnesota, and it was really unfortunate, but we did have an instance where a guy just picked up a kid and threw him off the third story at the mall, but the kid thankfully recovered. But when I saw that in this film where the guys like they stole stuff and like the cops were like, oh no, you gotta like give up the jewelry, and he like takes the kid and puts it over the railing, I was like, oh gosh, like I was like,
even the robbers that were with him as accomplices were like, whoa, man, whoa.
I thought one of like the older accomplice guy was Michael Keaton for a while, and I don't think it is, but he looked kind of like him. I'm like, is that the Vulture? Is that old Batman over there? But anyway, I liked that whole sequence. I thought that was really cool, and it was so colorful. Like, if you could chart the DC movies, like this one was just, and maybe it's because of the 80s as well, but everything was just so bright and vibrant, and I really liked it. I was like, oh, this is like oversaturated. Like she dropped down and she's like, her outfit's like red. It's not like a muted red anymore. It's like, boom, like.
Yeah, it was very vibrant and bright.
Yeah.
Bright.
Yeah. Very bright.
Unlike the 80s. The 80s weren't like that. No.
Yeah. Well, she also can use her little tiara.
1990.
Yeah. See, the problem is she wasn't thinking it through, though, Joe. She destroyed those cameras with her tiara, and I'm not sure how the 80s worked, but, like, do they not save that footage in the mall? Like, the security? Did she have to go tamper with that footage, too? She got to find the security booth and rip that apart instead of the cameras. Diana, come on.
Yeah, VHS back then, you actually have to erase the...
Yeah.
Anywho.
But did you like that sequence?
Yeah, for sure. I liked it. It was kind of a petty little thing, whatever. I mean, she saved a kid who was going to get tossed off the third story of the mall, but no, it was good. Overall, I just like her, and I like her as that character. She's done such a great job. I can't imagine somebody else taking that mantle up.
Yeah, neither can I. And she just looks like she has a good time doing it, and I kind of like the direction they took, even though it's like 65 years later. It feels like it's like she hasn't changed at all since, back in the day. But I like that she's like, I hate guns. Like, she's trying to prevent guns from even firing in most of the fights she's in. She's not killing people, but she easily could. And I was like, look at Diana showing a little bit of restraint, even though she did tie those guys up and then throw them onto a car. I was like, one of them maybe could have died. Diana. She's like, it's fine.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. We jump all over the place because, to be honest, I feel like this movie jumps all over the place just a
Yeah,
little bit.
that's
I
okay.
don't. There are some good moments, but it's like it's stuffed a little bit, and I don't.
Mm.
God, it's not like the first Wonder Woman where it just feels very fluid and I don't know. It just feels more impactful. Like, let's face it, the first Wonder Woman, I teared up. And
Yeah,
that sequence when she's in the battlefield and she goes in front of that gun, I'm like,
it's beautiful.
wow. Yeah, it was freaking. I believe the word epic is appropriate in that sense, but they couldn't duplicate that here. I did like the moment of her again jumping, but it's all right. I'm going to get to a more fluid thought process on my overall thoughts towards the end of this discussion. But the one moment that was kind of cool, and I really did kind of appreciate, and the one thing I do like, and I'm not saying this is just because they have a female director. Males can do it just as much, but I appreciate the way that Patty does it in the romance side of things in this film. Obviously, I think it plays a major part in it. First of all, for the plot, but also it's an emotional thing that lets you connect with a hero's humanity. They're a person like you, kind of a thing, and romance is something that just conveys that well, and it's appropriate, and they do a good job with it in this film. But to compare this film to the first one, the one moment that was done tastefully and kind of cool, almost gave me a little bit of that goosebumpy moment, was when she says goodbye to him and renounces her wish.
Okay.
And then just starts sprinting like that. It was kind of powerful. I mean, I think it was a good, like, kind of stark way to do it. Just how she's, I love the hug, final kiss, and then just step away from the column and start walking away. And you can hear Chris Pine behind the column still saying, "I'll be with you always, no matter where I am." It was kind of good. I enjoyed it. And then renounces her wish and just starts. I feel like it was cool. The flying sequence. How'd you feel about that?
I thought that's the sequence you were going to say, because the renounce the wish thing I thought was like a little underwhelming because we don't get to see him transform back. Like, just the guy be like, "Oh, what the," like,
We'll get to that in a second. Let's not talk about transforming guys quite yet.
Okay, but anyway, the flying sequence is the closest thing in this movie that I thought got back to the No Man's Land sequence. I was like, I really enjoy this. She's like learning how to fly. Like, you're talking about where she's learning, like, with like the lasso, and she's kind of like, feeling the currents of the wind. I thought that was really cool because she earned her flight. Like, with Superman, usually what you get is like he kind of does it a few times, and then he's like, yeah, I can fly. But like with her, she's like, oh, I can jump really high. I've never really tried this. I thought that was so cool, and I know some people I think have problems with it. I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, she's kind of learning how to do it, and I thought it was kind of inspiring. Like, I was like, okay, cool, now she can like fly, which is really neat. But it also kind of ruins the fact that she gets some armor later on that has wings, and I'm like, you don't really need that. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know.
People will crucify me for saying this, but Wonder Woman could always fly.
Like, what do you mean?
She can't fly in the same sense of like Superman fly, right? She uses her physicality to fly.
She can fly. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, it's hard for me to accept. And I wasn't totally in. I mean, that moment was fine and everything. I think it was maybe more so the fact that, I don't know, I almost want to watch a Man of Steel film again and see him flying. The one thing that's hard to do with people flying, first of all, how fast you're moving through the air, the effect it's having on you. Her hair wouldn't just be like, I'm on a photo set and they're blowing a fan in my face.
Well,
because her hair is
she was
kinda...
falling with style. Like Superman, he moves like a jet. He's like boom. Like, they don't do shots of him flying usually. It's just like you see him in the air and you're like, there he goes. This was more of like I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring it out. She's like a kite.
Yeah, and it was okay. I mean, stick your head out the car window once. What's your hair doing? You know, I mean, and hers is just beautifully wafting in the wind.
I didn't have a problem with it. I'm like, like.
I mean, yeah, it was good looking. Don't get me wrong. I just, yeah, I don't know.
He's thinking. It hurts.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it was hard for me to accept.
I love it. I love that stuff you get hung up on. Because now if I go back and watch it, I'll be like, okay, I see what he means.
Yeah, but it does make sense because, you know, she's a descendant of the Greek gods, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically sky's the freaking limit with her, right?
Yeah.
As far as we know. So I can't necessarily say, whatever, man, no way. Comic book accurate, all that good stuff. That was another thing I liked about the first movie is the way they established her, and they didn't, you know, they kind of talk about how she came to be and why she is the way she is, right? She's not just an Amazon. She's a little extra, right?
For sure.
So
she's a bunch extra.
Yeah, which is cool. And that was another thing I thought was necessary for why you should probably see the first one before this second one. I don't know if that's ever something that they clarify, like in DC Comics or, you know, Wonder Woman being like a Greek descendant.
Yeah, I think so. There's different versions of it where it's like she was created by Zeus, and I don't know if she's like Zeus's daughter sometimes, like.
Which is kind of how they portray it in the, you know, these films. But
yeah, and they even kind of touch on it a little bit more where she is in that jet with Steve Trevor, and she can like make it invisible because her father made Themyscira invisible to the outside world, so she can do it like in a small area. I don't know. I was okay with that. I know some people get frustrated by that sort of thing, but I was like, it's either that or like 1980s cloaking technology, which would be probably for me, honestly, harder to believe. I'm like, you know what? If she can make the jet invisible, I don't really care. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like Wonder Woman's invisible plane or invisible jet.
Yep, they had to do it. They had to get it in there.
Which, by the way, immediately I was like, there is no such thing as a two-seater fighter jet.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. There is one that the Navy once had. I don't think it looked exactly the same, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that they do double seaters like front and back, but I've never seen one side to side.
It was romantic, though. They have to sit next to each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, and that was fine too. I mean, I like that moment with the fireworks and everything. That's cool. And that interaction between those two. Another thing too, I really like Chris Pine.
Yeah,
I actually think those two together, good chemistry, seem to work well together as these characters. And there's something about him, mannerisms, the speed at which he does things as well as verbally. I like him. I think he's a cool cat, but man, you can really tailspin on discussing this movie quick.
I know, right? That's the thing. I like him because he actually gets to fight people and he's not completely worthless. Like, he follows Diana into fights and he'll start tussling with people. He's not just like, get him, Diana. He's like, I want to punch you.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's great too. I think that's great too. And I do like that, like, I don't know. They did a really good job with him in the first movie as well as this one. Although the first movie, you feel like they moved a little quickly.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that movie to me could have been longer as opposed to this one being 2.5 hours.
I agree.
That one, I don't think it was as long as this.
Yeah. I don't think so.
And I think it deserved to be over this one.
Sure.
Because I think they would have had more time to more appropriately develop things like that, like their relationship and things of that nature. So whatever. No need to step back to that first one as much as I am, but
it's a good movie, man. It's a good one. I get what you're talking about. It's good.
Yeah. Let's get to, so yeah, I agree with you as far as him like holding his own and all that. I love that he's like a normal human, but there's something charismatic about him that she's drawn to, and it's very genuine. It's not like he's just some tough guy. He's just a genuine, seemingly good person, and just innocently human.
Yeah,
but in
and
a
she's
good
got
way.
like her whole apartment's like a shrine dedicated to him. Like there's a bunch of stuff everywhere you find. It's like, oh, this was his. There's a little ranch that I had with his last name, or maybe it's his family's ranch, or like all this stuff where you're like, Diana, like 65 years on, girl. I love it.
Well, that's okay, but you think about it first and only love, right? I mean, fine.
Yeah, well, it was funny because it was still affecting her so badly. Where like if anybody tried to talk to her about it, like she has her kind of her friend date with Kristen Wiig's character, and they're like sitting there, and she's like, "Have you ever fallen in love or ever been in love?" And it's like, oh, that's out of nowhere. And then she's like, "Yeah, well, I have kind of I have a hard past. Like, I don't want to talk about it. It was World War One. It was crazy times, you know."
Yeah. Yeah, it was World War One. It was a crazy time.
Insane.
Man.
You wouldn't understand.
Both young. Yeah. How young?
Yeah, very young.
-20.
Don't worry about it. I look great. That's good genetics.
Yeah, good genetics. I stay out of the sun as much as I can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's get to the fact of, so they start making these. At first, I think it's just some plastic knockoff gem, right?
Yeah.
Or artifact, and it's basically a couple like gems that are like jammed into the top of a stone that have like a semi-metallic ring around them with some Latin writing.
Yep.
Apparently one of those toys of the gods kind of a thing, and that isn't known until a later point. But people inadvertently, like you mentioned, the coffee cup guy walks by and touches it or brushes it and says, "Man, I really wish I had a cup of coffee right now." And what do you know? A guy walks in, "Hey, I got a couple extra coffees here. Anybody want one?" Perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then, the wishes come through, and what's her name? Kristen Wiig's character. Why do I keep forgetting her name? It's easy too.
I know, and that's funny because like her whole character is like to get forgotten, and then she gets angry that people forget her. Cheetah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Cheetah. Cheetah, but
Dr. Gemologist. Dr. Cheetah. Dr.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the actress's name, Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, we have Kristen Wiig. Try to look it up. I can look it up.
Oh my gosh, I think we got it now. It was almost embarrassing.
I'm so sorry.
No, no apologies necessary.
I apologize to our poor listeners. They're like, did these guys even watch the movie? Oh, the first thing I type in Cheetah for Google, and it just says the Cheetah Girls. It's like, no, not that. It's not that. Whoa, these are some crazy trailers. Hold on, I'm gonna get it, Joe. I'm gonna get it. Oh, I wanted to talk about her anyway. What did you think of her? Honestly, like, spoilers abound now. You can speak freely. What do you think about Cheetah?
It was okay. So first off, DC Cheetah, really? Cheetah woman? Cheetah? Come on. And also the fact that this was the only realm in which she can be made plausible as far as going toe-to-toe with Wonder Woman. I'll say that. I mean, Cheetah Girl, normally you hear that and they're like, yeah, okay, Wonder Woman will squash her like an ant. But no, apparently she's basically on par with Wonder Woman because she wished for it, and kind of how it came to be, and yeah, whatever. But
yeah, I think it's weird because Cheetah's been like one of the longtime rivals to Wonder Woman, and I think she's stronger than most people give her credit for. But I can see where you think that going in, where you're like, really? I don't really know a lot of Wonder Woman's villains, though, to be honest with you. Like,
she just seems, neither do I. She just seems slightly lame to me, unfortunately.
Sure.
Her role in this movie, I think earlier on it's fine. Later on, as Cheetah, it becomes like next thing you know, she's intervening with her and the Wish guy. I mean, I guess because she knows she's trying to revert the wishes and she doesn't want that. So it's fine. I just, for some reason, that villain as a whole, I just can't take seriously. Like, turns into like basically a bipedal cheetah. Yeah.
Okay, I found out her name, Barbara Minerva. Sorry, I didn't remember it.
Barbara.
I think I would have tweaked it just a little bit. I wouldn't have made her like this this kind of science nerd with like focused on so many different things, I would have said, you know what, she's an animal expert. She's into taxidermy, and she really loves big cats. That's kind of her thing. And the first day that she meets Diana or sees Diana again, she sees Diana with the cheetah print shoes. And that's where it starts, right? And she gets hassled by that one guy, and he's a predator, and she wants to become the apex predator. She never wants to worry about anything ever again. I think they probably could have done that a little bit more streamlined to get her to just become Cheetah and not be like, I'm as powerful as Wonder Woman. Actually, wait, I want to be stronger than Wonder Woman and be like stronger than her with the apex predator thing. Because it's like, it reminds me a little bit of like Jafar, or there's another villain in some movie where they like wish for a thing and they get something that's really good, and then they wish for like one step too far, and you're like, why did you wish for that? Like, it's like, you don't need to be like stronger than that. You've already proven that you're like, you can take out Wonder Woman. So I don't know. It seemed a little weird. I thought she was cool, but I get where at the end they wanted to use that kind of sparingly, because the CGI, it looked better than some other CGI we've seen, that's for sure. But it was dark and you couldn't really see her super well. I thought they were going to kill her, but I guess they didn't. So she could still come back in the future, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and did she renounce her wish? Did everybody renounce her wish?
It seemed like most everybody did, but I also don't know if Maxwell Lord, if he renounced his wish of being the wishing stone, if like that renounced everybody's wishes too.
Yeah, it's super weird.
It's basically convoluted. It's
everything. I mean, hell, we had nukes in the air that just dissolved into nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird too. I think the problem is you get something like Avengers where they build up to it for so long, and you have like a pretty good understanding of how all the stones work, but you're like, if anybody snaps their fingers, pretty much anything can happen, right? But only when they can do that. We can accept that as an audience. But when you start doing like wishes on wishes on wishes on wishes, it starts to get so complex where you're like, I don't even know how they're going to resolve this. And then when they do, you're like, what happened? I'm like, I'm sorry. I want to like it. Like, I'm just like, huh? Yeah.
Totally. It wasn't, the wish thing wasn't horribly done. I will say. I don't think it necessarily got too overly complex. You know, the little plot hole things like, oh, well, what about the guy wishing for no traffic, or the guy that wished for a Porsche? What do they get taken away? You know, I mean, if you just kind of gloss over that and just kind of appreciate it for what they're doing and all this and that, it's fine. I love the way that Pedro Pascal's character, who I can't remember the real name of either.
Maxwell Lord.
Maxwell Lord, thank you. Uh-huh. Cliche name, Maxwell and Lord. He wants to be one of the richest oil moguls in the world.
Yeah,
anywho, or the richest. Anywho, he's, first of all, he did an exceptional job for what his character was. Yeah. And it's not that his character was actually fairly complex. I mean, a lot going on there. He, you know, is a family thing, and then the son, and divorced, but wanted to provide a good future for him, and this and that. I mean, he kind of had good motives.
Oh, yeah.
And in the 80s, you know, the whole oil this and oil that, and the more of everything mentality. I mean, it wasn't frowned upon then, and not that it totally is now either. But he played that part well. And that guy, I think there's a reason he's popular now. Obviously, we've seen him in Game of Thrones, Mandalorian, and kind of has popularity going for him at the moment. But him in this role, he does an excellent job. I think he's deserving of the roles he gets. That guy's got some chops, I must say.
Yeah.
He's in the way he can show the exasperation and the mental fatigue and this and that, and physical fatigue. He does a very good job. Very good job. It was cool.
Yeah, he's about 45 now, I think. And fun little fact about him, he was in a pilot for a never shown Wonder Woman TV series that was going to be like on the CW back in the day. And apparently in an interview, he said like either they knew I was in it and didn't care, or didn't know, because he's like, I got cast for this and no one ever said a thing. And he's like, He's just like, I'm just going to do it. But I completely agree with you. I think he's wonderful. He's more complex, I think, than anybody else in this movie. And I think he gets, I don't know what the exact numbers are. I feel like he almost gets more screen time than Wonder Woman. Like, he's in it so much. And I thought they were going to go in one direction with him. I thought they were just going to be like, he's an evil oil tycoon guy. But they actually did a good job of like making you feel something for him, which that's one thing the last movie didn't really do. I didn't really care about the villains in that one at all. But this one I was like, oh, not bad.
There was depth to him for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, this is cool. And it was cool to see him going out. And I just loved his whole bit. He's just like, your life is good, but it could be better. Like his whole thing was just kind of like, yeah. And he just wanted more. And it was always like, well, when is it going to be enough? He's like, well, why would it ever be enough? I just want more. So I was like, okay, that's kind of fun. So maybe, like I said, he was kind of like the embodiment of greed in the 80s. And that's where the whole like wishing compounding went to. It just kind of, I think it went off the rails a little bit for me. But at the same time, I guess I appreciate them doing something different. It's not like he just wished to be the strongest guy on the planet, and then he and Wonder Woman just were punching each other up at the end. Just punching each other. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think the whole cast is strong. I think it's really strong. And it was in the 80s, and it's got 80s in the title. It didn't feel as 80s as some of the other stuff we've watched, though, which I kind of appreciated. It wasn't like shoving it down your throat with like there's synth music and it's like, oh my gosh, Diana found another Rubik's Cube. Like it wasn't that. It was, and I was like, thank goodness. Like they had the little montage where like, Steve Trevor's like, look at my clothes and all this stuff. And or he's just talking about like the modern marvels of the world. The one thing I wish we could have gotten is we never got to see him. He like talks about how he stalked Diana for a bit and they like just never show that. He's like, yeah, I kind of found you and I kind of stalked you like a creep for a bit. I was like, why wouldn't you just kind of, you telling her this now, man? Like, because he just kind of found her at that party and he was like that good looking dude. And like, that's what he looks like to everybody else, but she could see him as Steve, which I thought that was a cool moment when they like kind of moved the camera around behind her and then it was him. And I was like, that's cool. Like,
okay. Thank you for addressing it because I didn't understand what the F was going on there. I was like, are they just being courteous to us and showing it as Chris Pine so that we keep in mind that it's Chris Pine?
Yep.
Or is she seeing the guy with the dark hair or is she seeing Chris Pine? Who does she see? I mean, she goes and, they have a night together and all this and that. I mean,
she says at one point, I just see you. I only see you. But then you remember he's looking in the mirror and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I like this guy. So everybody else, and I think even Diana would see him as that guy. But and for us, it's like, but it's actually him in that body. So yeah, it does seem kind of weird though. And a lot of people were joking too about like, if she's like this great hero, then how could she ever talk about like being a good person when for a while she was like, my old boyfriend just took over, possessed this dude's body. We're totally cool with it. Like, this guy had a life and stuff. It's fine. It's gone. And, like, good thing he came back in that body, because how hilarious would this movie have been if she was, like, if Steve came back in, like, an old grandma body, and, like, like a little old lady walked up, and she's like, remember World War II? And she's like, or World War One. And she's there, and is like, Steve? Like, I'm just saying... Could have gone a lot of ways. That's all I'm trying to say. Which body he could have come back in. If somebody could draw that art up, I would really appreciate that. Joe, you got a new stylist. I'd love to see that.
So at the end, that guy, Pine's gone, Steve Trevor's gone, and that guy's back to himself. He's like, man, I cannot account for the last few days.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I just feel like I did something freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you spent the night with Wonder Woman, bro.
I wanted after credits where they just like arrest him and they're like, this is for stealing one of the planes from this museum. Like, and it's kind of like, it's like a federal offense. Yeah. You're like flying a fighter over. Like, he's like, no, it wasn't me. And he's like looking at the cameras, like the footage. He's like, no way. He's like, who's that lady? He's like, no.
Yeah, who's that lady? Another issue. Doesn't she swipe an ID badge to get in there? It was a Smithsonian Air Museum, Air and Space Museum.
She works at the Smithsonian.
The hangar. Yeah. So then they steal a plane. It's like, hey Diana, we noticed that you entered the
Yeah.
hangar.
So
that
yeah,
we
she
named
she would get flagged for that for sure. She's not going back to
Yeah,
work.
you're fired. You're fired.
She would have been like, guys, everyone was wishing, and it was crazy wishing times, and they'd be like, oh, you're right, you're forgiven. By the way, I don't usually comment on that sort of thing. I kept seeing it in the trailers. That white dress she wears to that like initial party she goes to. Oh my gosh, like she looks great in this movie. Every outfit she's in, she's like walking with Steve. Like I was thinking about if you're gonna do a period piece movie, just put it in a place with a bunch of like monuments like that because it doesn't really change like decades later. So it's like, oh, we can shoot over by the Lincoln Memorial because it looks similar to the 1980s that is does today. So you can just shoot there, and you don't have to be like, all right, we got to do some stuff in the background. Like it's like no, you can just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few reasons why I'll probably rewatch this movie, and you can guess one of them right off the bat. So, yeah, it is, man.
Okay, well, last thing we do need to talk about, though, what do you think of the Golden Eagle armor? Because as cool as I think it looks, I don't understand why she needed it, and it kind of got ripped apart. So it's kind of like,
yeah, okay. I mean, it got trashed, bro. Like, it was done.
Which, that was the scariest Cheetah moment when there was, like, that shot, like, she was kind of covering herself, and, like, Cheetah was kind of ripping through the feathers. I was like, that's kind of scary. I was like, I probably would have done scarier stuff with Cheetah. Like, that's...
Yeah, I'll give him credit. That was pretty intense when she was taking feathers off of the armor, which, was supposedly strong as hell. Yeah, so I mean, it was like, okay, maybe she's a little something to be reckoned with, right? She's ripping the shit to shreds.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Another part of me was like, no, the armor.
Exactly, it's so shiny. And why did you
Wasn't
have
that like super antique and like an ancestral?
It was, and I don't know. It was just sitting in like her little security room, and the only reason she brought up is because Steve kind of pointed out, and I'm thinking like, hey, I don't know, it'd be kind of nice to find her, like, see her find that earlier in the movie and be like, oh. I'm gonna, assess this and we'll come back to it later, and then she just kind of shuffle it away. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah, I have this in my closet and I've had it for a while. And it's like, that seems like an interesting tale. Like,
I rarely wear it, only on special occasions, like when giant cheetah women show up.
Bird beats cat, apparently, man. That's all we're learning.
Yeah. Part of me felt like initially, and I need to rewatch it just to give my, let it simmer and kind of get my final take on it, or just smooth out my, how do you want to say it? Smooth out my current mindset on the film overall. Mm-hmm. I think a second take could help me a little bit, but part of me initially thought that like Cheetah was pointless to the whole thing. I was trying to find out why. I was like, what's the point? Why is she in here? She's not the main villain, but she's not. She's just why? And I don't know. Then again, I think I would be let down even more if they did like change the whole trajectory and make her the primary main villain. I'd be like, wah wah,
Sure. I wonder if it's like if the first Wonder Woman is supposed to be inspiring to everybody, like Cheetah in a way was supposed to be kind of inspiring to like Wallflowers, but not to take it too far, where it's like you can see somebody as a role model. You can emulate them, I should say. Not emanate them, emulate them, because they emanate good things. But if you take it too far, you lose who you are, who, like, that personable, kind individual. Like, maybe that was the point, but then it's like she went too crazy with it and then lost the stuff that made her good in the first place. And then she turned into something horrible. Maybe it was more, again, I feel like the villains in this one are more metaphorical. Like, like it's kind of like...
Yeah, there is quite a bit of that,
know? I'm not sure because again, I still think they're better than the last movie though, where there's 3 of them, and there was one that I thought was one, but it's actually another guy in that movie. Because you're like, that's the main bad guy, and it's like, actually, it's not. It was this guy all along, and it was like, wait, what? I thought we were due for that moment in this as well. I thought for sure someone was gonna pop up and be like, it was me, and I was gonna be like, of course it was. Because you know what I would have done? I would have made it Steve Trevor, and I would have ruined the romance. I would have been like, guess what? It's the mischievous god, and he was Steve Trevor the whole time. And people would have been like, That's right. That's right. Evil Chris Pine in a Wonder Woman movie? That would be amazing. Ugh.
Would you have ever preferred that the main villain like just trash Cheetah altogether and make I almost called him Mando.
Mando. Yep.
Make Mando's character make Pedro's character Maxwell Lord. Make him the main villain, as he kind of was a villain, but have him, when he wishes to have the powers of the stone and everything, eventually make him kind of transform or be possessed by a Greek god or something of that nature to make him something for Wonder Woman to actually tangle with or deal with in a different way. Yes or no, and then I got some more points to make.
Oh, sure. Maybe I get why they did it this way though, because they wanted to have her have like another female antagonist that she could actually tussle with. So I don't know. It's tricky, and plus maybe they didn't want to do the whole God thing from the last movie, and I could see why they didn't want to.
True, it might start to feel repetitive, although that was their way of saying how this jewel came.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have. Right? Yeah, I don't. That jewel, that thing in the first place is just too scary to me. Like the Infinity Gauntlet, like it says one thing, but you got to build up to it. This thing was like, hey man, primed, ready to go. If anybody touches this, makes a wish, we're going. It's not like you earn it. You don't have to do anything crazy to get it. It's just like I touched it. So yeah,
it'd be quite the roller coaster. All right. Other points, dark themes. You talked about Barbara, Cheetah's wish, and how it took away the good parts and this and that. There's a lot of basically show off points of like humanity's greed, violence. Like the president's wish for I want more of everything. So basically, I'm holding a gun to the world's head, and they do as we say. Things of that nature. So there's like some not repetitive, but there's multiple dark themes in here that are kind of injected into the overall serum, we'll say.
How about like the Cheetah, like with that guy who keeps assaulting her, and then like the second time it happens, she's like all juiced up, and she's just like kicking the crap out of this dude, and she's like throwing him down the street, and then that one like poverty-stricken individual comes up, he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Nothing, mind your own business," and she just like turns and just runs away. I was like,
I'm pretty sure at one point you see that guy's teeth spray out.
I feel like something happened to him. I was like, okay, I get it. Like this, for some reason, that dude was just like a drunk, like sexual assault individual. Like that was his whole shtick. He just waited around outside places. He was like, all right, like,
this is me, yo, take it or leave it.
And I bet, unfortunately, there are people like that. But like that second time when she's just like beating the hell out of him, I was like, oh my god! Like she just kicked him, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I get it. I was like, yeah, she's gonna be beating a bag of blood soon. Just like, which would have been great. I would have been like, all right, let's see how this goes. Like the Punisher. Like, let's do it.
Bag of blood. Yeah. So I don't know. Here's the thing. I think this movie, in contrast to the first one, which I know we talked about, we gave great scores to. We both really enjoyed. I think everybody really enjoyed it. Obviously, did really well.
Yeah.
So in contrast to that one, this one, I feel like the physical parts, or the physicality of it, the conflicts and things aren't as, they just don't hit home for me as they did in the first one.
Not as dire, maybe.
Yeah. Whereas this one, the first one kind of did it all, but the second one, it focuses more on, I think, some of those subtleties and darker themes and worldviews, things of that nature. I feel like there's a bit more focus on that. Honestly, I think in general, you just need to put a little bit. You need to toss out. This is hard to describe. I guess what I would say is that you need to go into it a little sharp. You need to be a little sharp, and it does require a bit of thinking. It's not just sitting back and enjoying a slugfest, or Wonder Woman beat the crap out of that guy. Okay, great. Or the war was fought, cannon fodder everywhere, and they win. There's none of that. So you do got to kind of go in. You got to pay attention. You got to pick up on those hints of things. Things like you were mentioning earlier, Jimmy, and the through lines to, her back on Themyscira and learning, no shortcuts and this and that, and her having that speech with Maxwell Lord. Excuse me. So those subtleties, I think, are really well done, and overall are a big pro for this movie.
Yeah.
But the physical parts kind of don't really land for me. There's some decent things here and there. I like when she's like struggling with the security convoy, tries to save the kid at the end, and luckily, they get missed, but her powers are kind of gone ish at this point. So I kind of appreciated those moments, but they just weren't as impactful or goosebumpy as that first film.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing that really, I don't really care a lot about this setting. The 80s. So what? I love the fact that the human interjection in the first movie is the World War.
Yeah.
That, you talk about No Man's Land, that scene. I mentioned it. You mentioned the scene name, which I always forget for some reason. So thank you. But like that scene, the reason that gives you goosebumps or kind of makes you tear up is just that historical, what if this could have been a thing, right? Like, and just the setting overall is just so, it's dark, dingy, and hopeless. And then all of a sudden she's out there just, that is.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, it still hits me in the feels, and I haven't seen it in probably over a year.
Yeah, it's good, man.
But it was just great. I think that is something that's very smart, especially for movies like this. That human relation to something that was actually true or experienced by the world. I think that's freaking great, and I think that hurts sequels for Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
they hurt this sequel a little bit. I think it's hard to top. It's hard to get that insane reaction because of how impactful that first one was. So you almost put yourself into a corner, but and not totally. I'm over exaggerating a little bit, but I think that's a little bit of how I feel. Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe you feel differently, but
No, I hear you. I think you make some great points. I think one of the reasons people are going to have problems with this is, like you said, you do have to think about it and pay attention a little bit more. It's not Captain America, the first Avenger. It's not Wonder Woman, the first one. It's not. Like, if you go in thinking that. And I think I heard recently that the first movie was written by somebody else, and this one was written by Patty Jenkins. I'm not exactly sure, and I'm not saying that's the reason why.
It was Patty and somebody else. I forget who the other was.
Who did this one or did the previous one?
Who did this one?
Okay.
I don't know about the first one.
Yeah, I just know that she directed it. And you make great points. I completely agree. And as we said, and I was thinking about it at the end of this one too, I was so happy to just see like a nice, strong romance still. Because I feel like I know there's a push for a lot of films to not have romance in them. And I totally understand it. There's certain films that don't require it, don't need it. But I like that she has that because it does make her much more relatable and I think compelling and complex than if she didn't. And that's something that like all of my favorite superhero, characters typically tend to have. And that's something I love about them because you're like, okay, they can do all this stuff, but at the same time, like they're still completely crippled and powerless or empowered by, love. I think that's a beautiful message. But it is kind of heartbreaking to see her give that up again, in a sense. And she's like, but yeah, I think you make some great points, man. I totally agree. And I think this is going to be a movie that like we're kind of lukewarm on now. I'm hoping in the future we go back to and be like, oh man, it's so complex. I love that like it's a superhero movie I have to think about when I watch, because like when I watch some of these other movies, I'm just like, I just watch it. So here come the pretty colors, like
Yeah.
So I think you make a good point about World War I being the setting, and she pops up as a symbol of hope in that one in a bigger way. I think because this one is shot and colored in a different way, like just on a physical or on a visual representation, you can't really have her show up and be like, I am the beacon of hope. And she kind of does it at the end with like the eagle suit, and it's like it's all dark and cloudy, but she shows up in the eagle suit and it's like, it's hope, it's here. But throughout the rest of the film, she just kind of blends in with everything else. She's not like, visually like standing out in the way she did back in World War I. Like if you saw that on a battlefield World War I, you'd be like, what's happening? Like I can't even comprehend it. But this one, you're like, all right, she kind of fits in. So you did mention the convoy scene. I forgot to mention it. Great. I liked moments in that. It reminded me a lot of the chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark. A lot of people know, which I appreciated. And I did want to talk about this briefly. The lasso of truth. She uses it way more in this one. The lasso of truth might be one of the most powerful weapons I've ever seen, Joe. So not only does it show the truth, or like make you tell the truth, compel you to tell the truth, it shows you the past, but it can catch lightning. It can catch a bullet that's gone past you. I was like, that was something else. I was like, wait a second.
When I saw that one, I was like, huh?
I was like, all right, so you can catch lightning and bullets with that thing and kind of fly with it. I was like,
I forget who did she stop the bullet for?
I think it's Steve. Is it Steve?
Yeah, right. When was that confrontation?
Was that in the? I think it was in the convoy. Like they shot past her, and she was like,
"Oh yeah, and he was in the car, and she whipped it back and caught it." And...
Oh, Diana, listen to me. Use that. Bring that to every fight forever, because I feel like that thing can do whatever you really need it to. Like you should have just tied up Cheetah early on and just like thrown her in the water and been like. I like the lasso though. She's like using it as like to block bullets and stuff. I was like, okay, it's like she's kind of hard to beat. She didn't have her sword though, which is okay because she'd have to get a new sword. Either way, she gets swords, man. She can get swords. Either way, I like it. I like this movie. I know it's got issues, but I will see all the Wonder Woman movies because I like Wonder Woman as a character. I like Gal Gadot. If Chris Pine's not in the next one, I'll be sad because I realize why they probably wouldn't bring him back for a third time after this. That will be one thing I miss about her. So they might have to give her a new love interest, and they kind of hinted at it a little. They've hinted at it with Bruce Wayne. I really wish that could have happened because like Ben Affleck, that would have been interesting. I don't know, man. We'll see. I feel like I need to watch the movie again now too. But I will stand by this. I love that intro sequence. I think it's cool. I like Themyscira, man. Even though it was shot differently than old Themyscira, I was like, this is interesting. And I don't know. I like this cast, man. They're good. It just is. It's a strange movie. I think it's not divisive necessarily, but from what I've heard from other people, I think there are people who are disappointed. I think I heard it was supposed to pull in like maybe 16 million or something like that. But like I don't know how you calculate that. Like. It's so weird because like in the time.
So basically, because of COVID, Wonder Woman 2 is a dud, a total loss.
Tenet was kind of the same way. Like Tenet didn't even break even, I don't think, even though it did make some money. The highest grossing film of 2020 right now for America, or like I should say, is like Bad Boys for Life because it came out earlier in the year and it got out before all this other stuff.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
That's crazy.
The
right?
movie industry is probably just
Yeah, they're in a weird spot right now because, like, I think with Tenet, I think Christopher Nolan like wanted to get it out, but I don't think he wanted to put it out right away. I think he was like, we'll save this, and when theaters can open back up, we'll put this out, and it will bring people back to the cinema. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I still want to see that movie. I've heard mixed things about it too. So, but yeah, man, that's Wonder Woman. I don't know. I still say if you have HBO Max, check it out. If you don't have HBO Max, and you're a Wonder Woman fan, you'll probably still find a way to watch it. Like you still probably get HBO Max for a month, or I don't know how that works, but I think it's worth watching.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a free trial option right now. You just got to do a month and cancel if you don't want it.
Yeah.
Because I think I looked into that, but I don't know. I'm actually finding some good stuff on there, so I might keep it around for a little bit.
There's actually some good stuff on there. Yeah, but I think it's worth watching. I really do. I think I would have enjoyed watching it more in a theater. But at the same time, there was
most definitely.
I got to pause it halway through though, and get up, and go to the bathroom, or do whatever. Like that ability makes me feel kind of good because like I'm not like I have to miss a scene or like or something happened or like a phone call or like we gotta get some snacks. Like you could just do that. You're just like.
I just miss the atmosphere and the giant sound system and all of that.
Dude, maybe Cheetah would have been even scarier. Think of that Wonder Woman theme remastered in crazy speakers, like dun 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 dun. The chair's just shaking. It's like, where are we going? It's like, yeah. If they played that theme, I'm such a sucker for it. If they played that theme for like 15 minutes straight and just had her just crushing dudes the whole time, I would be like, yeah, that's movie of the year. I'd be like that scene, chop it out, send it to me. Yeah, I don't know. I just like it. I like Wonder Woman still. I still do, and I will see all the Wonder Woman. Is this like a movie like that you would just stop watching Wonder Woman films though? Like, is there any superhero film you've watched and you're like, I'm never gonna watch another Captain America film? Like, there isn't.
I'm trying to think if there's one that I just wouldn't watch again. What was the latest? There was one Marvel one that I just didn't even bother with.
I meant like.
Oh, I didn't bother with like Captain Marvel.
Oh, you still haven't seen that?
No, I have.
Okay.
I think we watched it together a while back, but I mean, I hadn't seen it and it had been out for quite a while. I think I watched it just prior to Infinity or
Endgame.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, but like if another Captain Marvel comes out, you probably see it. Like there's not like, you'd see it eventually.
I think so. Yeah. Every once in a while, there's one that's maybe less appealing to me, but
I'm a sucker for it.
It all depends on who the character is and things like that. But like Wonder Woman characters like that, the DC stuff, for some reason, I'm just such a sucker for, and I don't know why. I like the Marvel stuff just as much, dang near, but for some reason, the DC stuff tends to hook itself into me a little better.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I still love Batman. All I'm saying is, Marvel, where is Ghost Rider? I swear to goodness, if he doesn't get his own film soon, I'm going to lose it. I'm not saying bring Nick Cage back. I'm just saying, come on, guys. You could do it right. Do it right.
Yeah, those movies were, they had some touches of brilliance, but but they could really do something cool with him if they were to bring him back into the fold. But
come on, yeah, if Doctor Strange is doing well nowadays, Ghost Rider can do just fine. He'd be just fine.
Oh, for sure. You just can't make it cliche and weird like the Nick Cage versions.
Yeah, well, the second one got really strange. Yeah, I appreciate that the directors did some of the stunts alongside the stunt people. That was nuts. I was like, you guys are crazy. Good on them. Good for them.
Well, Jimmy, so I was a little all over the place. With the movie like this, I mean, it's a smorgasbord of stuff, so it's hard to cover it all in like a chronological order from start of film to end. But what I cap mine off with just kind of my overall take.
Please do.
And this will be interesting. But so pros, I kind of got some notes, but I love the aspects of humanity and emotional aspects of the film. Just those details on just the details of all that, and not only from your main cast, but just humanity in general, the Earth globally, all that. It's interesting and well portrayed. Secondly, the cast I think is really well done, even including like Barbara. And then I really did. I mean it. I like Pedro Pascal in that role. Like, and that role was kind of all over the place too. It was from here to here to here to here. Like he's up and down, and he really did it well, and shows those emotions well. So, and then Gal Gadot come on. So, anywho, the cast great. I said my piece about Chris Pine. And then I also kind of like the dark themes covered. Again, I think that's something that in retrospect I realize a bit more, especially after this conversation. But I think after going back for maybe a second viewing, I might start to understand that more and kind of like the through lines or the little, like the reference early on in Themyscira to the reference later when she has a speech with the guy. So, yeah, I can appreciate that. The setting, the 80s, it was kind of trippy. It was kind of cool to see that time well represented. I don't think it was necessarily overly done. The only time they get it real jokey or weird, it's not even weird, but they get humorous with it is when Chris Pine is trying on his outfits.
Yeah.
Which some of those, holy crap.
Yeah, man. Rough.
Anywho, so I'll give him props for that. So there's some pros overall. And lastly, Gal Gadot. So,
Yeah, Gal Gadot twice.
Which apparently her name is actually pronounced Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, like in
Gal, I'm so
her native
sorry.
tongue.
When I meet her one day, I'll just be like, just level with me. Just tell me how to say your name, and I will say it correctly for her. And I will correct others. I'll be like, is that okay? All right. Yeah.
No, I think she just accepts it because Gal Gadot. I mean, it just flows well. But
Yeah.
I think she's talked to, like, on an interview with Conan. She like clarified, yeah, well, in my native tongue, or what is her? She's Israeli, so what are they?
I don't
What
know.
would they? Anyway, she says it's actually Gal Gadot. There you can actually, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But anywho, man, she's just top notch.
Yeah, she's great.
Mentioned 3 times now under pros. Cons. Sometimes things happen for a reason, or wait, sometimes things just happen, and that's the only reason you need, and that's the only reason you're gonna get.
This happened. Why? Because it did. Okay.
Yeah, just accept it. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours long. We don't have time to explain everything.
Do you like that when like Maxwell Lord was kind of like seducing Barbara? He like stole the crystal, but then later on Barbara's like, yeah, no, it's okay. He took it, like he signed it out because he just gave us a ton of money for it. So I'm like, wait, so he did this whole thing about like stealing it when she was just, or maybe she lost it and she was like trying to smooth it over. I don't know. It's weird. Just thoughts I have. And then I forgot later on that they were together because when she saves him at the White House, I'm like, oh yeah, they kind of have like a thing. But I forgot all about that. It's like,
yeah, I guess I did too.
It
was like, to me, that was the first time they had met.
Yeah, I was like, wait a sec, weren't they like a thing maybe for a minute? It's like, because that would have been another layer. If you want to go really complex, make them have a romance, an evil romance. Oh, it's beautiful.
Ooh,
evil romance.
Excellent.
Missed opportunity.
Anywho, I'm probably gonna go back and watch the first Wonder Woman. So
you should. I almost want to watch it with you. I just did a commentary with Levi on that recently. It's still great. It's still really good.
It's still great.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I pretty much echo all of your thoughts for the most part. I can see why people are frustrated with it. I can see where it gets a little bit convoluted and a little bit crazy. But at the same time, I think the cast does a wonderful job. I think it almost is set too late. I don't think you need to set it in specifically 1984. I think you could have set it, 50s, 60s or something. But I get why, like with the villains they chose, why they did it, for the style and the greed. But yeah, I'll still see Wonder Woman 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Like, I'll still, like, it won't.
Here's hoping they're able to keep going. I mean, after the way this year's been, I hope that this being a loss this one time because of the circumstances doesn't make them shy away from what is the DC universe. I mean, with Aquaman's success, Wonder Woman Part 1's success, I would hope they keep it going.
I've heard they're already working on Wonder Woman 3. But wow. I also heard something that like DC might be trying to do 2 different timelines instead of like a full multiverse. So maybe you do the timeline you have now with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and then you have like that newish or different world, universe with the new Batman. I don't know, man. It's a lot.
Will we ever see Henry Cavill again?
There's been that rumor for so long. I can't believe it's been this long since we just haven't gotten Man of Steel 2. I'm so amazed that we haven't gotten Man of Steel 2. I thought for sure they'd just be like, yep, we're doing it. I don't know.
Superman been done too many times to get another Man of Steel. Who knows? I don't know. I want him back. He was a great Superman.
I love my Batman. I wish that Man of Steel 2 wasn't Batman versus Superman, because that's probably the slot it would have taken if they hadn't tried to do like Batman and try to like rush to Justice League. Like it would have just been like Man of Steel 2, Batman 2, maybe Justice League. Like after Wonder Woman 2. Like think if you hadn't seen these guys together yet, you'd be like, oh boy, when they get together, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, like I said, I'm a sucker for all this stuff. I recommend you check it out. If you, like I said, if you don't have access to it and you really do want to see it, I think it's worth the month just to see that amongst the other stuff on HBO Max. But if you're not a huge Wonder Woman fan, or if you're on the fence about it, I don't know, you probably wait a while. I'm curious to see how they stream this in the future. Like if it will just be HBO Max exclusively, or if you can rent it for a couple of bucks. I don't know. So
Yeah, I would assume it'll eventually be up for purchase and rental on like the Microsoft Store and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Per usual.
Yeah.
One would think. Speaking of, the other Man of Steel, Justice League, all that. When are we going to see the Justice League? Christopher. Oh God, no. What's his name? The director.
Oh, it starts with a Z. I do this with my mom all the time. A Z A C H. Zack Snyder.
Schneider. Holy crap. D-A-C-H.
He spent too much time on the hill today, honey.
Maybe a little bit. But anyway, when are we going to see the Zack Snyder cut?
The newest thing that I heard about is that it was going to release in March, but I'm not sure because we'll have to do that and watch through that because it's going to be 4 1-hour episodes.
Really?
Apparently.
Cool. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I really want to see that and see how it differs from the first one. I might have to watch the old one.
I feel like we have to watch the old one first, and then you have to watch this one. And I'll be like, oh yeah, there's that moment, and they cut that. And,
do the comparison.
Yeah. It'll be great fun. Oh my gosh, yeah. Also, I'm just waiting for Godzilla vs. King Kong on HBO Max. I don't care. I want to see that on the big screen, but if it's not safe yet, I will watch it at home because I am a huge Godzilla vs. King Kong fan. And when I was a kid, guess where I watched it? Not in a movie theater. Like the old version, it was on my TV at home. So you know what? That's fine. I'll be like, oh boy. I'll get really close to the TV screen, Joe, with the headphones on. And I'll be like, it's like I'm in the IMAX. I'm in the D-box seats. Just shaking around.
I remember that well.
Those are two different things, but people will get frustrated if I don't say that. Anyway, that's enough Wonder Woman 1984 talk. Please comment below, or if you're listening to us, tweet us with the hashtag Wonder Woman 1984, and just let us know your own thoughts and feelings on it if you've actually seen this, because we had some people write in, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Either way, we're going to move on to that next segment of the show that I like to call, that Joe likes to call, that everybody on the planet Earth likes to call
Time Killers.
That's right, time for Time Killers. And besides the movies we've been watching recently of 1984 ilk, Joe, what else have you been killing time with?
What have I been killing time with? Honestly, nothing different from past Time Killer episodes or segments. Still Call of Duty, all that. Recently started watching Archer again. The new season was available on Hulu. Started watching a little bit of that. Enjoy that show. They're short, sweet, simple, but comedic, and I kind of grew to like the animation style of them. Okay. And I think the voice acting is good. And it's a little zany, but still real. I don't know. I like it. It's contrary to something like Family Guy weird, or Family Guy zany, I guess I would say. So, anyway, been getting into that. You and I have been still going strong on the Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Still a good time. God dang it, I can't believe you can just get in the co-op and you're just like, yeah, kill. And yeah. But yes, it's been hot after that still, trying different characters and all. Then we've got Titans. We've been watching Titans on HBO Max. I haven't had HBO Max before. Finally got it because of Wonder Woman 84. And maybe me more so than you, Jimmy. I actually really like it. There are some quirks and kinks, but for the most part, I really appreciate it in the style. It is dark, rated R, and all that good stuff. And that's right up my alley. A couple of the characters are a little weird, couple maybe a little lacking or unexpected, contrary to what we expect. What the hell did I just say?
Yes.
A little different than what we expect the character to be like.
Sure.
When we compare it to things like like cartoon animated episodes of Titans and stuff like that. So but it is cool. It's kind of a real world take. It's not just all based in Gotham. They're going from like Detroit to DC to Chicago to I don't know where they last ended it, but it's good. I enjoy it. I enjoy the gruesomeness of certain bits of it, and Yeah, I like it. I don't know if you have anything to say, Jimmy, but I'm done with my time killers. I've taken enough.
Nice. Yeah. So we watched the Titans. I was a huge fan of Teen Titans back in the day. Obviously, this is very different. I said this to Joe the other day. I think this show is, if they took away a few little things, this could be a rated like TV-14 show, because they like kind of force in some of the swearing and the violence, like the blood and stuff, to be like, we're R, don't worry about it.
A little bit.
I think it's fine. It is jarring, I guess, to see some of these characters in this interpretation. And again, because I grew up with the Teen Titans, like the show, so I have to realize and try to divorce myself from that. I still think it's good, it's entertaining, and it's way more fun to watch it with Joe and kind of almost talk over it the whole time. I'll just be like, oh my gosh. Well, we don't talk about it the whole time, but I will make comments when I want to. But yeah, I don't know if you like any of the CW shows. It's like that, but like a little more intense, kind of, sort of. I just want to watch Doom Patrol.
There's more budget to it than that too. I think it's a little well done. The only questionable moments, and I think I accept it a bit more, is when like Beast Boy transforms into an animal. Thus far, just the tiger. The tiger's a little hokey looking, and a little.
It's hard,
but like I also kind of expected is like he's transforming into it. I don't think the likeness is always going to be perfect. You know, I think I would expect the same if it was a gorilla. Maybe the gorilla is a little bigger than average, that sort of thing. So anyway, those are the only things I picked out thus far. Starfire is a little freaking weird, hard to accept quite yet.
Maybe the budget is it's different how they're shot, because I watched like The Flash and like Gorilla Grodd and like King Shark look super good on that show, but then like Beast Boy doesn't look super good on this show, so I don't understand.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But they're not on it. That I don't know. Either way, so we watched the Titans. I have watched now Batman from 1989 and Batman Returns. I'm gonna try to watch Batman Forever. Wait, and then there's Batman and Robin. I don't know. There's so many Batman. Some of the Batmans are like leaving HBO Max, and I wanted to go back and watch these. I think I rented these as a kid, because there's like moments in them where I'm like, I've seen other YouTubers make videos where it's like they show clips from these movies. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But now like after watching them, they're campy. They're super campy because they're directed by Tim Burton, so it's got that like Tim Burton-y flair to it. It's very Nightmare Before Christmas. Like that's how it. Like this is the lead up to Nightmare. But I don't know, man. There's some good performances. Like Jack Nicholson as the Joker, legitimately scary and weird. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, legitimately scary and weird. And Michelle Pfeiffer is a great Catwoman. I can see why people say she's the best Catwoman of all time, because I watch her, I'm like, yeah, you nailed it. Like, she does this great job of being like this. She's like Cheetah, Joe. She's like Cheetah in the beginning. She's like this timid, kind of like wallflowerish, but at the end, she's like this. But she's like insane. Like, she's completely nuts in that movie. Like, her hair is all crazy and stuff when she's just in her regular, like you can tell that she's nuts. Like, when she's walking around in the middle of the day.
How did she become Catwoman, though?
Okay.
What makes her Catwoman?
Her boss throws her out a window. No, pushes her through a glass window. She falls down a huge building, lands, dies presumably. A bunch of cats come and lick her, and one cat bites her a bunch on a finger, and then she comes back as Catwoman.
It's like one of the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans when
when I was watching some of this stuff, I felt like some of it was I was like, oh, maybe Raimi was inspired by some of this like original Batman stuff. Some of it in there, I was like, yeah, man, I'm getting that vibe.
The origin story: get bit by an animal and you get their powers,
dude. And it's all like, or just the way it was shot, and then also Danny Elfman did the score for both, and the score for Batman, it's pretty iconic. It's really good, just like the one for Spider-Man. But I've been enjoying them. The one thing that really stands out to me more than anything else, though, and I think someone else has commented, or other people probably have, is that Gotham City used to have, like, a personality. Like, you would look down a side alley in Gotham in these movies, and there'd be, like, a gigantic stone face. Or, like, there's these gigantic statues, or there's this kind of Gothic architecture everywhere. And I think that's so cool. And that's something that's been lost in the more, like, recent ones. Especially, like, the Dark Knight trilogy is mostly, like, Chicago, which is great, and it obviously works for them. But I kind of miss Gotham having a personality. Like, I think it's so cool to think of it being like this ancient place that like people just kind of built a city on top of. Like, I don't know, like, it just is so cool. If you watch these movies, you're like, it really does like everything in it is interesting to look at. You're like, wow, this is like a really nuts world. Like, this is really cool. So good job on that, guys. You did it. There's my praise from like 30 years, 40 years later. So you got there. But anyway, so I was watching those, and then I also watched Soul, which is Pixar's latest. I feel like most people just absolutely adore it completely. I thought it was okay. I'll be honest. I fell asleep during it. It was Christmas. I was a little bit tired. Maybe I missed some things. I don't really think I did. It has a great message in it. My only issue with it, my biggest issue, is the constant switch out between animation styles. They do this thing, Joe, where they'll have like a 3D person in the real world and it'll look amazing. And then they'll do like a 3D person in like the afterlife or something. But then they're talking to someone who's like completely two-dimensional. And it's like, yeah, this is really cool that you can technically do this. It just completely rips me out of the story every time. Like, oh yeah, I'm still watching a movie. Like, I'm not like invested in the world the same way. I just want Pixar to do like Ratatouille or Incredibles. Just real world the whole time. No break into some cutesy little world. Yeah. Also, I just watched Inside Out recently, and I think Inside Out packs a better emotional punch. But this Soul is a good movie if you're an artist, like I'm trying to be. And the whole kind of the big message, Joe, in the story is like, don't chase after your dreams so hard that you forget to live your life. Because like this guy, basically all he wants to do is like land this gig in this jazz group. And then like once he does it, he's like, I don't feel any different. And then he has to like look back over his life and like the struggle to get to that point and all the good moments in it were like the thing he should have been living for, which is his life. I'm like, that's a good message. But it has an ambiguous ending, and I hate those. Joe, do you hate ambiguous endings? And by that, I mean it's like, you get to decide what happened. I hate that, because if someone was telling me a story, like a bedtime story as a kid, and like, it was like, Gollum fell off in Mount Doom, and however you want it to end. Do you want the ring to get destroyed? Do you want Gollum to grab onto a rock? Like, how would you like it to end? It's like, wait, what? It's like, no, you're the storyteller.
Maybe Gollum didn't have the real ring.
Exactly. Maybe he woke up from a dream. Maybe Frodo woke up from a dream. Maybe Bilbo woke up from a dream. Like, I hate ambiguous endings, Joe. I just hate them so much. Sorry. I want there to be more finite in my fiction. Like
you didn't finish the story.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get in Inception, it's like, was this top, like, still spinning or not spinning? That's fine. Like, that's more kind of, like, fun, as opposed to being, like, there's these two main characters in this Soul movie, and you don't know what happens. Like, they're just kind of like, well, they just lived their lives, maybe. And it's like, what? Like, it's like, come on, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weird guy like that. Maybe people love ambiguous endings. It's like the end of Man in the High Castle. That's an ambiguous ending as well, and I hate it when a TV series does that. It's like, why would you do that?
Don't disagree with you.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Those are our time killers. Also, I wrapped up Cyberpunk 2077. Review should be out before you see this, so hopefully you go watch that. All right, we'll wrap up here with my favorite segment, Joe, which is community feedback and questions. Oh my gosh.
And questions.
I asked people to write in their reviews for Wonder Woman 1984. And the only one I got was from Zora Caviar, and he says, Wonder Woman 84 review, in quotes. My mom always told me if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all out of 10. So, so all that out of 10.
Wow.
Which is pretty funny.
I mean, but with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I'll give it an automatic 5.
Of course. This came in last week, Joe, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. New Year's resolution. By the time this goes out, we'll be into New Year's. So what's do you have a New Year's resolution? Got any New Year's resolutions?
Get in better shape. Oh, wait. Is it cliche? Because everybody says that every year. Wait, should I not get a gym membership right now?
I just put mine on hold again for fear of the virus. So
probably a good call for at least the near future.
Yeah, it's like just 2 more months. I want to go back. I miss my it wasn't just my gym. It's like my little haven. I knew people there. I liked the amenities a lot. I had workout buddies that I do not talk to anymore. It's like,
oh, geez. Yeah, no. I mean, between that and not only just work on my personal self, I'm trying to cleanse some of the more adolescent things and maybe become a little more mature. I'm working on like my wardrobe, like stuff like this. This is for casual evenings only. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just trying to update some things and just I don't know. I need to go into 2021 with a little bit more of a positive attitude. Um,
I love it.
I don't know. Yeah, just general things, really, for me. I'm not going to hone in on any one specific thing. Just do better in general. Period.
Nice. Good resolution, man. I thought you were going to be like, and speaking of adolescent things, this podcasting thing that just like rips the mic out. You throw it across the room, be like, oh no. There it goes. There goes the money. Yeah. No, that's great, man. Good. That's good New Year's resolution. I want to ask that because I asked it last week. I said last week I was like, just to be kinder, to be nicer, and also to
because you're never kind. You're just.
I feel like sometimes I could be nicer though. Maybe it's because no one else knows my internal thought process, and like a lot of the times I'm just thinking horrible thoughts, and I'm like, but don't put those thoughts out there. But like inside, I'm just like, like, but it's, I don't know. But also, it's to focus on the future, because if you're trying to move forward, Joe, and you're looking back, you're gonna trip. That's what I said last week. I still stand by it. So I'm gonna try to focus more so on the future, baby. Because the future's bright and wonderful. Hopefully. That's the hope, anyway. 2020 started off in a great way. We went to Disney World. Wasn't that fun?
That was good. Yeah. We started it off great. There was no more greatness left for the rest of the year. It was all.
That's how good the trip was. I ruined the rest of your year. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy. No. It's like when you're going around those after hours at Animal Kingdom, you're like, this is pretty good. If only I could have whispered into your ear, this is going to be the highlight of your year. Like, that would have been a great callback later on. I've been like, see, I was right. I was right. Like, nailed it. Oh my gosh, yeah. But yeah, that's a question I have for everybody else as well, besides the Wonder Woman 1984 review that you would send in or comments about that. What are your New Year's resolutions, if you have any at all? Or are there any New Year's resolutions in the past that you're like, I keep making this one, like the get in better shape, but I never follow through with it, so I'm going to try something else. Because that's a good idea too. Resolutions. Be resolute in your resolution. It's really easy to say, but hard to do. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you had a good time. If you ever have a question, a topic, or a thought for the show, all you have to do, you can send us an email which is gocriticalreviews@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us with the hashtag criticalpodcast. You can tweet at gocritical, or you can tweet at me personally. I'm JimmyGood013. If you want to tweet at Joe, however, Joe, where can they find you?
Joe_Lever627.
Nicely done. You nailed it that time. You seem very hesitant. Really? Yeah, you got it.
Should have never changed it. Oh god.
You're like that guy. Oh gosh, what is his name? I can't think of it. They do a lie detector test on the guy in Ocean's 13, and he's got this thing in his shoe, and he's like pressing it, and it like hurts him, so it throws off the machine. So he's like sweating bullets, and they're asking him all these questions, like, have you ever done any illegal activity before? And he's like, nope, and like it just goes through clean, and they're like, man, good thing we have this lie detector because you look like you're lying. That's what I feel like you did right there. You're like, Joe Lever _627. It's like, no, he's right. He's right, actually.
Wait, did I say? I thought I said Joe_Lever.
No, you said Joe Lever _67. Joe, it popped up on the screen. Somebody tweeted. Okay, the hashtag for this week, like I said, should be Wonder Woman 1984 or WWE84. However, I feel like there has to be something at the end of the show that Ryan will hear and no one else will hear. Joe, what should it be? Ryan, you're great.
Another hashtag.
Or just even if they have to tweet at us, just like a one-word answer. What's a good one-word answer?
Cheetah lady.
Cheetah. Cheetah. Yes, tweet us the term cheetah lady. Just one word. Just
the stripper from GTA 5 will pop.
Stay away from Cheetah. Sorry, we have an on-running thing that Cheetah and I have an actual working romantic relationship in Grand Theft Auto, and if anybody calls her over, there's gonna be. Which
FYI is a major reason that I'm not happy with Cyberpunk is because there's no strip club that you can go shoot up, kick everybody out of, and then hold up and kill every cop in the city.
I did take a point off of it in my review, yes, for that. I was like, they didn't have this specific thing. I can't fight in here. Yeah, that would have been fun. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to support the show, please consider checking out any of the links. We got Instagram, TikTok, Spreadshirt, all that stuff. But seriously, just a huge thank you to our patrons who make this show possible. I appreciate you guys so much. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you. However, instead this week, instead of supporting us or considering supporting us, support your local business. Support them. This is a hard freaking year, and I feel like I should have been doing this sooner, but go support your local business, whatever it may be. Order some takeout. Maybe buy something on a shop, like a digital shop that like is just somebody's making, jewelry from their home or whatever it might be. Do something like that, because those people could really use it. So thank you guys. I feel like we're like a tiny little local business. There's like a few people who support us, and I appreciate that. But go support some people who are selling some food. Like, unfortunately, the podcast can't sustain you like a good burger could. I wish it could. That would be pretty great, but it can't.
Critical reviews. Soon in burger flavor.
Soon in burger flavor. Yeah, exactly. If you join up at the $10 tier, I will mail you a burger patty. Will it be cooked or not? It's your decision. Like, I don't really care. But either way, I appreciate you guys being here and listening to this show. Also, for those of you who might be watching this like on YouTube, we do have a Spotify and iTunes version of it. So if you'd rather have just the audio version, that is available. If I get 10 people to tell me that they want to hear every version of the old podcast in audio format on Spotify, I will convert all of them. So I need 10, because it's a lot of work. And it's very frustrating that Spotify doesn't want to put them in order, even if I number them in order. Sorry. That just means that if I put on like 5 recently, Joe, it would be like they go to the top of the list, like we've joked about in the past. like episode 192 is at the top of the list. Most recent podcast, be like, that was from months ago. People would be like, these guys are out of date for sure.
That's weird, because other podcasts go in total order.
Yeah, that's because they probably are uploading intelligently as they went, as opposed to me, who has been doing it only recently, like a fool. But that's okay. You live and you learn. That's what I say. I'm the first one to ever say it, and I'm the last one who ever gets to. Anyway, thank you, Joe, for being on the show. Appreciate it. It's nice chatting with you as always.
Always a pleasure, pal. Appreciate it as well.
Well, thank you. And for all of you guys, appreciate you. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.